Lindsay's with the Bellingham Public Schools and is going to talk to us a little bit about the free and reduced lunch program and kind of how we think about supporting kids and food security.
Wonderful, thank you. Hi. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much. It's an honor to be in the room with such a fabulous group of people. I'm delighted to be here. I'm going to chat with you. I'm the Director of Food Services in Bellingham, and I'm going to chat with you a little bit about free and reduced programs, primarily bell to bell. So we're feeding students during the school day, and then there are some other programs that are in the other ends of the school day that I can tell you a little bit about. The context for what I'm describing today is, of course, my work in Bellingham, but because we are federally funded and state-administered programs, this will be very similar to the kind of offering in your district, wherever it is that you and your constituents live. In Bellingham, we frame all of our work based on the Bellingham Promise, so this really is our guiding document to consider the whole child. And all of the work that we're doing is based in the vision and the mission and the core beliefs here. Other districts may have similar guiding documents, but I always want to come back to the Bellingham Promise and why we're doing what we're doing. So much of the work, all of the work that we're doing is really rooted in equity and access for our students. A quick idea of the framework that I'm bringing that I'm working within and bringing today. We're really focusing our programs on universal design, so we're planning our programs and our interventions to support our most vulnerable students, and when we do that, we're really helping everyone as a whole. In Bellingham, we're serving about 10,500 students. We have over 600 students experiencing homelessness, 1,160 and counting students who are multilingual, with representing over 74 languages. We have about 25 students in foster care, and one of the growing populations of students that we're serving in our district is our unaccompanied youth at around 120. In our district, the aggregate total of our students who qualify for free and reduced lunch is about 30%. And we are serving meals at 23 sites. We have 22 schools that serve meals, and we also have an early learning center where we're feeding little ones. And we have, of those 23 sites, 16 are in a universal no-cost meals program. So that means that everybody who attends school at that site can eat for free, regardless of income. I'll talk about that a little bit more in a bit. We have also designed a good food promise. This is based on our Bellingham Promise. So what you see there is one of our trucks. We have a central kitchen in Bellingham where we are preparing our scratch food, and then we also use that as our distribution, our receiving and our distribution. So one of the primary focuses in Bellingham is to be producing as much scratch food as we can to serve at our sites. School meals in public schools are federally funded by the United States Department of Agriculture, and then they're administered state by state. So in Washington State, they're administered by OSPI, Office of Superintendent of Public Instruction, and the Child Nutrition Services. Programs that a district may offer are school breakfast program, national school lunch program, early learning center meals, so those are child and adult care food programs. They don't have to be in a school district, but they also can be. After school snack programs, fresh fruit and vegetable programs, at-risk after-school meals, which are often dinner programs or some kind of a meal service right after school dismisses. In Bellingham, currently, we are offering school breakfast program and national school lunch program, and so we're more in the bell-to-bell side of things. At times, we have had an after-school snack program, fresh fruit and vegetable program, and we had a dinner program for a number of years as well. So this could vary a little bit district to district, depending on where you are. All students at school are eligible to participate in meals. There are either free reduced full pay sites, so that's the traditional model that has existed for many decades, where school students are either eligible for free and reduced meals based on income, or they can pay for a school meal, but everybody is allowed to participate. And then, as I was describing, we have universal no-cost sites, and so there's a number of programs that allow us to serve that way, but that is free meal, free breakfast, free lunch for every student, regardless of income, and so school meals just become a part of the school day for everybody. There's some acronyms there. They're just some of those different programs that allow us to qualify a school for a free meal. So in school districts, we're always looking for ways to feed as many students as we can. We're always wanting to help as many families as possible qualify for free meals. And one of the things that I talk about a lot is the desire and the hope for ultimately all school children to be able to eat for free, regardless of income. I think that would be a real game changer for our kids. And so we will always be hoping and advocating for more opportunities to serve more students for free. Eligibility for free and reduced meals will come a couple of different ways. So students in the public school system may be directly certified for free and reduced meals. So some of the other programs that you've heard about today and I'm sure are very familiar with will, once a family qualifies or student qualifies for those programs, they are automatically qualified for school meals. So this is really an excellent, excellent situation for families, and they already have worked through the processes to become eligible for some kind of a state benefit. Then that information flows to the school district, and the family's automatically qualified. They don't have to do anything more to qualify for school meals. Most of the students in Bellingham School District, this is how they're eligible. I haven't pulled the numbers yet for this year, but last year, 95% of our free and reduced students were directly certified. So if they are already qualified for basic food, Medicaid, TANF, other programs like that, that information will come to us. Also, students experiencing homelessness, migrant status, foster status, they don't have to apply. We'll automatically feed them for free. And then other students may qualify for free and reduced meals based on an application. So commonly this has been known as the free and reduced application. And families will qualify based on the income guidelines, that federal poverty guidelines that are established. Many districts will have an opportunity for families to fill those applications out electronically or online. There's also paper application. And then there are also ways to help to increase that access for families by issuing that application in multiple languages. So in Bellingham, we automatically have those applications available in English and Spanish, and then if we have a family that needs a translated version in another language, we can support them with that. We want to ensure that we have access for all students. So one of the things that we are thinking about all the time is who are our families who don't qualify on paper by income with those federal guidelines, but really could use the help. So you may have already been talking in your groups or today or already aware of our ALICE households, so the asset limited, income constrained, but employed families. They will not necessarily qualify for free and reduced meals in an application, but they really could use the help. So districts in Washington State are required to have a meal charge policy, for example. And in Bellingham, one of the things that we've done is try to have the most generous and broad meal charge policy as possible. And our policy indicates that we will never deny a student a meal for an inability to pay. So if they do not qualify, students on a full pay status, and they come through the line and they have their tray and they don't have any money on their account, or even if their account is negative, we will never, never deny them a meal. So it's a really important distinction. When I work with my staff in schools, we indicate that we never, like, this is not a child issue, this is an adult issue, and we never talk to kids about their accounts at all. And so we make sure that they're always getting a meal. We are required by the state to serve certain students at some sites breakfast after the bell. So this is an excellent opportunity that may also be in place at other districts. And it's based on a specific threshold of free and reduced students in the school. We will serve them then their breakfast after they come for the school day. So they do not have to try to get to school early for a breakfast service. We'll make sure that we have that breakfast available to them after they come to the school day. And it's it's an excellent program, and it's really designed to remove barriers for students to getting breakfast. And students, the requirement of the breakfast after the bell program is that students are encouraged to freely access breakfast, so they don't have to worry about missing class time or instruction, and that breakfast is available to them after the bell. And then most districts, I would say, many districts, are also serving summer meals. So this is where there is summer programming or open community sites. We want to make sure that we're meeting needs through the summer as well. If you or the families that you work with have questions about how to access an application or how to access school meals, how to see if they're directly certified. The directors in the districts in your areas have a strong commitment to their communities. They're going to be very interested in hearing from you or hearing from families to help families reduce barriers and access school meals. One of the things that we do in Bellingham, and I think is growing popularity, many districts are doing this. We have a salad bar at all of our schools, every school, elementary, middle, and high. And part of what that does is, besides introduce more whole, nourishing foods, is it allows students to continue to access as much food in their meal as they need. So they'll be served an entree or sold an entree, and then they can go back to that salad bar and they can have multiple servings in a day until they're full. And then the other thing that I want to point out too is that districts are making accommodations for medical needs and for allergies, especially life-threatening allergies. So if there is a family that needs to access a certain type of food for any reason, they can work with the district, and the food services programs will help to make sure that those student needs are met. I just like this picture. We're not in COVID, in the pandemic, but it does celebrate and acknowledge the work that districts did to more broadly feed students when they weren't in their school buildings. And also, it just highlights that there are times when school districts are, well, not times, they're always, school districts are limited to a very specific framework in providing meals. And so this is an example of where some of that framework was broadened and loosened, and districts could fulfill meals through the week for students by preparing multi-day meal boxes. But when the pandemic ended and those waivers were removed, it brought everything back into a pretty tighter framework for school meals. And so what schools can do really primarily is serve students in the school day in a congregate setting. And some of the challenges that started in 2020 and ensued over 21 and 22, they do still exist with some supply chain issues. And then I think most prominently, because all students were being fed for free during the pandemic and those waivers were removed, we unfortunately went back to the traditional free, reduced, full pay model. And what we did see is a steep decline in participation then. It was a point in which we all hoped that this was finally the time when we would move into universal meals and that would continue. Unfortunately, it didn't, and so we do continue to advocate both at the federal and the state level for that to be broadened again. I am here for food services, on behalf of food services, but we also in Bellingham School District have a strong family engagement program. And I just want to touch on that a little bit here because it does align really nicely with the work that we do in food services. And your districts also probably have some element of a family engagement or family outreach program as well. That picture there is our wonderful family engagement team, some liaisons, and a director. And they're really working in that whole continuum of school staff, parents, and students in the context of the broader community. And they are serving the McKinney-Vento students. So sometimes we use the term McKinney-Vento, but that is a term for our students who are experiencing homelessness, and they have rights to transportation and, again, free and reduced food. Students in foster care, immigrant families, and students experiencing other hardship. Bellingham happens to have 2 family resource centers that are equipped to supply needs for families beyond the school day needs. Okay, this is my last slide, and it's my call to action. And all of you already are doing wonderful work with families. And as you are inclined or able, interested in advocacy, I would say really the big game changer for students is going to be universal meals and that access. No matter what school you go to, no matter what community you live in, if you can go to school and receive free breakfast and free lunch, that would be the biggest way we could provide the best lift to students during the school day. And we know there's a lot of wonderful reasons to keep kids fed, of course, but they're more successful in this, for sure, in their learning and in their school day when they are well fed and nourished and they aren't worried about where their next meal is going to come from in terms of breakfast and lunch at school. I did want to just point out, too, that I've used the term free and reduced a lot. Free and reduced is sort of this catch-all phrase that we use for the eligibility for meals at schools. And thankfully in Washington State, in the last couple of years, the copay for reduced meals has been covered by the state. And so if you have families that qualify either under the free scale or the reduced scale, they're actually all free. So they all eat for free without paying anything. And then the other thing I want to mention is our students who are registered as free or reduced with a school that's highly confidential information. So we're always reminding families that that is protected information. There are very few people in a district who have access to that information. And we're going to always be really protecting that very carefully for families. Where there are barriers, where there are worries or concerns about completing an application, we're happy to connect with families and work with them and give them the reassurances that this is a benefit that we're managing within really tight confidential framework. And then it's important too for our families, the students who are already at a school that has universal no-cost meals, we still want those families to establish their eligibility. Again, direct certification is automatic. They don't have to do anything. But if they're not directly certified and they meet those income thresholds, then submitting an application will also help them with other non-meal benefits. So things like no testing fees or no athletics and activity fees. And then also, very importantly, there is a summer EBT program, and that provides students this summer, I believe, again, it's $120 on their EBT cards. So as long as they have their eligibility established with the school district, we've just uploaded the first round of info, and we'll do so over the next few months. So all districts are doing this. And the students will automatically get some summer food money. So that will be another really important reason to make sure that they are establishing their eligibility for free school meals. Thank you so much.